Hey, welcome back to my studio. If you're new here, my name's Morgan and I make all things party and event. And today I want to show you how to put together this directional balloon party sign. If you're holding a party or an event that's in a location that's hard for your guests to find, you may need some extra signage to point them in the right direction. And this is a fun way to get them there. So follow along and I'll show you how to make it. The most important piece of this design is this arrow party balloon. This is a foil balloon that I picked up online, and I'll have it linked below if you'd like to make one of these as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and inflate this using my hand pump until it's nice and taut. And then I'm going to move my attention to the valve section of this balloon. We'll be using the valve as a tie point between the mylar balloon and the base that we're going to be building. And to do that, I'm going to use an empty 260 balloon and lay that balloon flat across the very tip of the nozzle, and then roll the nozzle up around that uninflated balloon until we get all the way up against the inflated portion of the mylar balloon. Once we've got that, I'm going to tie a knot in the 260 balloon, and not only will this hide away the nozzle, this will give us a great way to tie this to our base in just a moment. You may notice some of these tabs along the edge of the balloon, and these would normally be used if you were going to hang this balloon using some string, but because ours is going to be attached to a base, I'm going to take a pair of scissors and just cut away all the tabs that are along the edges of the balloons to give it a nice clean look. To make the base of this arrangement, I'll be using 12 11-inch balloons. Half of those will be in blue and half of those will be in lime green. I'm also using my electric balloon inflator as well as a balloon sizer box, which if you'd like to learn how to make that, I've got a tutorial that I'll link above. So to start out, I'm going to inflate 2 blue and 2 lime green balloons to 8 inches. And to do that, I'm going to inflate that balloon and then press it up against my 8-inch circular hole in the box and slowly let air out until that balloon just fits through the circle. Once it fits through, it means it's 8 inches in diameter and I can tie it off. In a similar way, I'm going to inflate 4 blue and 4 green balloons to 7 inches in diameter before tying those off as well. Next, I need to take all these balloons and tie them together into quads. So I'm going to take 2 balloons of the same size, wrap the nozzles around twice, and tie them in a knot, which will create a pair. I'm going to make one more pair using the same size of balloons, and then bring those together so that the nozzles touch right in the center, and then twist one balloon from each pair around the other, and that's going to secure this into a quad. In the end, I'll have one 8-inch quad and 2 7-inch quads, both with 2 green and 2 balloons in each. So we're going to set those aside and work on the pole portion of this design, which is made up of 4 260 balloons, and I'll be using this hand pump to inflate those to 9 pumps of air each. So once they're inflated, they should look something like this on the end. Now my balloons are a little taut with that much air in it, so I'm going to let a tiny bit of air out of those so it's nice and soft before tying it in a knot. I then repeated this step so I had all 4 of my 260 balloons inflated the same, and then I'm going to tie them into pairs. So just take the nozzles from 2 balloons and tie them in a simple knot, so we have 2 pairs of 260 balloons. Now we need to move over to the base that we're going to build this off of, and there's 2 different ways that you can do this. The first is to use a balloon stand. This is one that I've DIY'd with some wood and a 3-foot section of PVC pipe that we can actually build this on. And this is great if you're doing an indoor or outdoor party, but if you know you're going to be doing an outdoor party, you could always use a fiberglass rod. These are commonly found in a hardware store as driveway reflector poles, and are usually about 4 feet tall. But the important thing is to remember that 1 foot of this has to go into the ground, and you should only build on the top 3-foot section of that pole. For today though, I'm going to be showing you how to build this on a balloon stand. We're going to start the assembly off by adding our 8-inch quad to the balloon stand, and we're just going to slide those balloons around the pole so that pole is touching the nozzles of the balloons. Then the balloon that's on either side of the pole that we wrapped around, we're going to twist those around each other, and that will secure it directly to the pole. Once I make that twist, I want to make sure my balloons are alternating in color so I can make a bit of a spiral as we go up the design. Next, I'm going to grab my 7-inch quad and slide it around the pole and secure it in place just like we did with the 8-inch quad. Once I've got the colors arranged how I want to make sure I nestle these balloons so that one balloon of the current quad is sitting between 2 balloons of the previous quad. Next, I'm going to add our 260 pairs. I'm going to slide this pair underneath our 7-inch quads and bring them up so that the 260s are touching that center pole and those balloons are facing upright so that they're parallel with that center pole. Once I've got my first pair in, I'm going to grab my second pair and do the exact same thing, making sure my colors alternate blue and green. Now I'm going to take 2 balloons in each hand and I'm going to twist those balloons around the pole all the way up. Now you want to make sure the base of this design doesn't spin around as you're doing this. So I've got my knee against it so it helps hold it in place. And then I'm just going to keep passing these balloons back and forth between my hands until we get all the way up the pole. About 1 inch down from the top of that pole, I want to squeeze all the balloons with my fingers, creating an indentation in all those balloons at that point. I'm then going to take 1 balloon and right where my fingers are, wrap that balloon around the others about twice just to secure it in place. And then without letting go of that balloon, I'm going to let the air out of it by just nipping the very end of it with a pair of scissors. Now it's important to not let go of this balloon because if you deflate it and it comes undone, it'll probably deflate all the way down the arrangement and you're gonna have to do it again. So hang on to it as you let the air out and then grab 1 other balloon and nip the end of it, letting the air out slowly. And then you're just going to tie these 2 together in a double knot. This will not only secure the balloons in place, but make sure they don't uninflate on you. I'm then going to do the same thing with my other 2 balloons, deflating them without letting them go, and then tie them in a double knot. Now I'm not going to trim them quite yet because we're going to use the tails of these 260s to secure our final 7-inch quad to this base. And I'm doing that with the assumption that this base will be put outside and I want to make sure these don't accidentally fly off. So I'm going to place the quad just like we did the bottom set over the top of the pole, and then I'm going to bring the tails of those 260 balloons up and over the top of that 7-inch quad, tie them in a double knot, and then trim away any remaining tails with a pair of scissors. Now it's time to add the arrow to the top of this arrangement, and I'm going to nestle this down between 2 balloons, centering it right in the middle of this pole. Once I've got it about where I think I want it, I'm going to stretch out the 260 that we attached to the nozzle of that balloon, and I'm going to pull it down and around some of those 7-inch balloons just to secure it in place before tying that in a double knot. Once I've got it secured, I'm just going to trim away any of the remaining 260 tails with a pair of scissors. Finally, I'm going to take a step back and look at the entire arrangement and just make sure all the balloons are sitting exactly how I want them and the arrow is nestled nicely in that top quad. And that's it! This balloon arrangement is ready to direct your guests where they need to go. I hope you're inspired by today's project and give this one a try. Whether making 1 or a dozen of these to get your guests in the right location. This is a simple one to build and place on the day of the party. So if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe below, and don't forget to check out our Patreon group if you'd like to up your party game. Until the next time, you can check out some of my other videos over here. And remember, stay creative everybody. Bye!